This scene will especially appeal to car or action movie fans. In a Japanese garage at midnight, engines roar as a Nissan Skyline R34 purrs before you, eager to hit the asphalt. This car is a legend. Paul Walker made it iconic in Fast and Furious. On the track, it humiliated Porsche and Ferrari. It represents Nissan's golden age, but now the company faces a crisis. 20 years ago, it was known for iconic models such as the Skyline and Gran Turismo Racer. They were pioneers in electric vehicles with the Leaf, and it was also a world leader in vehicle sales. In the late 90s, Nissan nearly went bankrupt. Before its revival led by Frenchman Carlos Ghosn, who became a major figure in the automotive world. Then in 2018, everything changed again. Ghosn was arrested in Japan, accused of financial fraud, and the savior became a global scandal. 2 years later, he fled Japan, hidden in a musical instrument case. This isn't a movie. Since then, Nissan has never been the same. In 2024, it's a disaster with profits plummeting by 90% in just 1 year. Sales are collapsing, and Nissan, lacking vision, tries to merge with Honda. But in February 2025, the deal falls through because Nissan refuses to lose its independence. How did this innovation icon end up here, and can it recover? Today, we're diving into a story of failed strategy, rivalry, and the rise of Chinese electric giants. Nissan once stood for innovation and performance. In the 70s and 80s, the brand shone on the racetracks with the Skyline and captivated the world with its reliable, economical, and affordable cars. While Americans faced oil crises and Europeans targeted the high-end market, Nissan, like Toyota and Honda, focused on compact, efficient models. Yet the brand faced challenges in its 90s alliance with Renault saved Nissan from bankruptcy. Under Carlos Ghosn, the brand soared, and entering the United States was a major turning point. Japanese models thrived in the 2000s against large, fuel-hungry engines. Nissan bets on electric with the Leaf, hoping to get ahead of the industry. At that moment, the brand seemed untouchable. World leader with a strong presence in China, Europe, and the United States, but signs of trouble emerged. While Toyota is cautiously betting on hybrids, Nissan is waiting for an electric market boom that never comes. Tesla is making its mark with higher-performing models, and China is preparing for a reduction. Convinced of its dominance, Nissan doesn't see itself falling behind. Leaf's failure as a mass-market product, China's slowdown, and greater reliance on foreign markets are weakening the empire. Nissan doesn't know it yet, but it's about to enter a downward spiral that will lead to one of the biggest crises in its history. The gamble on the Leaf is bold and could have redefined the industry, but it will quickly become a huge burden for the company. The market isn't ready. The Leaf has a low 160-kilometer range, almost no charging network, and a high price. On the other hand, Toyota is playing it safe with its hybrids, and Tesla arrives with the Model S, which crushes Nissan in both performance and image. But the real blow comes from China. In just a decade, BYD goes from a brand that was mocked to a global leader, surpassing Tesla in sales in 2024. Nissan, once a pioneer, is now outpaced. BYD produces faster, cheaper, and with better targeting. Nissan, like many brands, depended on China for growth, but the market is now highly nationalistic. In 2024, 63% of cars sold in China are Chinese, up from 36% in 2020. Nissan sales fell 10% in a year, pushing it into the background. A merger plan with Honda was launched in December 2024 to compensate for delays and compete with Tesla and BYD. From the start, things got complicated, and by February 2025, the agreement was canceled. Nissan is isolated, losing momentum, facing a shrinking Chinese market and an unbridgeable tech gap. While Toyota dominates with its hybrids and Tesla and BYD share the electric market, Nissan is looking for a way out before it's too late. After the failed merger with Honda, Nissan is alone facing its challenges. Its electric vehicle lag is clear, market share in China is dropping, and investors worry about its weak strategy. The company can't afford more mistakes if it wants to survive. Drastic steps include cutting 9,000 jobs, reducing global production by 20%, and dropping several models to limit losses. These budget cuts are only a temporary fix. Nissan must find a new partner to remain competitive. Foxconn, the Taiwanese giant, seems to be the best option. Specializing in electronic manufacturing and active in electric vehicles, Foxconn could give Nissan a key technological edge, particularly in batteries and mass production. The talks are dragging on. Foxconn is reluctant to work with a troubled company. Nissan, once in control, is no longer strong. Financial markets are punishing Nissan as its stock plunges, and investors doubt its recovery, increasing fears of a takeover. But the current crisis isn't only due to Chinese competition or electric vehicle delays. Nissan is also carrying an invisible but formidable burden: the unstable legacy left by the fall of Carlos Ghosn. Behind Nissan's visible problems, a deeper issue is eating away at the company: instability. Born after the fall of Carlos Ghosn in 1999, Nissan is on the verge of bankruptcy. As I mentioned, with Renault's backing, Ghosn will lead a dramatic turnaround. He enforces a harsh restructuring, slashes jobs, shuts factories, and rescues Nissan. The brand becomes highly profitable under his leadership, but everything falls apart in 2018. Ghosn is arrested in Japan for financial fraud and escapes in 2019 in a dramatic, headline-making getaway, throwing Nissan into chaos. Without leadership, the company loses direction and internal conflicts halt strategic decisions. The once beneficial Renault alliance now causes tension. Renault, which held 43% of the company, begins to reduce its stake, a sign of growing mistrust. Tesla, Toyota, and BYD are advancing quickly, but Nissan is stuck in internal disputes. Rather than accelerating electrification or focusing on proven models, it is stretching itself with projects lacking clear direction. As a result, it misses the hybrid transition, underestimates Tesla, and falls behind on electric vehicles, which are heavily subsidized by many governments. This allows all the leading brands to make huge profits from it. Today, Nissan is suffering for years of confusion, with investors doubting its recovery, consumers losing trust, and the company unable to make bold decisions. Yet Nissan hasn't had its last word. The brand is preparing an ambitious recovery plan that relies on new electrified models and possibly a partnership with Foxconn. But the question remains, does it still have the time and resources to reinvent itself? By 2030, Nissan pledges 19 new electric vehicles and a Leaf with a solid-state battery. But against Tesla, BYD, and Toyota, the challenge is immense. Tesla dominates with unbeatable technology and a superior network. BYD produces faster and cheaper, crushing its competitors. Toyota dominates hybrids with a careful, effective strategy. Meanwhile, the electric vehicle market is struggling as subsidies begin to end. As I explained to you in a recent video, which you can find in the description why, years of delay and these new models might arrive too late to make a difference. Nissan is negotiating with Foxconn, the Taiwanese giant, for its battery production expertise. But Foxconn is hesitant since Nissan is struggling. If the deal succeeds, it could accelerate its comeback. If not, its recovery plan might fail before starting. Moreover, Nissan wants to bet on low cost, which is a risky strategy. Unlike Tesla, Nissan wants to dominate the affordable electric market with models under $30,000. BYD already leads this segment with cheaper advanced cars. If Nissan succeeds, it could regain prominence, but failure may leave it with no options. In any case, analysts are divided. Some think it will eventually be bought out by a stronger competitor, while others believe it can still survive if its electric gamble pays off. And what do you think? One thing is certain: Nissan is playing its last card. Its future no longer depends only on its cars, but on its ability to convince investors and consumers that it can still exist. And it's a situation that actually reminds me a bit of Lidl, which was a company on the verge of disappearing. Before its change in strategy allowed it to completely conquer France and Europe, earning billions of euros in the process, as you can see in the video that's showing.